I recently had a chance to sit down with Mario Nawfal, who hosts the largest live show on X. We had a great interview for about 40 minutes, so give him a follow on X at Mario Nawfal. Check out his show. And we're going to play for you this interview today on this beautiful Sunday. Thanks for hanging out. Check out the show, and I hope you enjoy it.
Have you had Alex Jones on your show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had Alex Jones on the show many times. One of our biggest shows, we had Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, and they deleted it 3 years later. This was earlier this year. I think it was around April. The show was 3 years ago. We did Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, Michael Mouse, Blair White, Drew Hernandez, Luke Rudkowski. It was a ridiculously massive show. We had, 3 million on YouTube alone. And then abruptly, early this year, they deleted it.
Just on YouTube?
Well, yeah, YouTube can't delete it.
But no other platform deleted it. Did they give you a reason why?
They said misinformation or something. 3 years later.
Do you have any guess what specifically was said that triggered?
No, it's fake. They just wanted to get rid of the show.
There's another guy, London Real. He has his entire channel removed. Do you know the British guy? Mm-hmm. You know him? Conservative for sure. Pretty big channel. He's completely wiped out.
Wow.
He was very active during COVID days. Do you worry now that your account could be completely removed or not really?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, because it could be. But I'm in regular communication with Google. We have a rep. I'm not really concerned. They whenever there's a problem, they just message me and they say, this is a problem. But it never happens. We had, when those episodes got taken down earlier this year, abruptly, I get an email saying, we've removed 2 episodes of your show. And it was our 2 biggest episodes, both of them with Alex Jones.
Oh.
I started yelling at him. And I'm like, this is BS. And we're not giving you any strikes or anything, and everything's totally fine. And I said, if you're going to come at me 3 years later, when you knew we were doing these shows, because I tell them, I'm like, hey guys, just heads up, we're going to have these people on the show. What do you think? Because we don't want to get banned. And if you're going to ban us anyway, then we're going to try and figure out how to do this show. We did an episode with Alex Jones and Michael Mills. I messaged them and I said, I know you guys just banned Alex. We want to have him on the show. What are the rules? And they said, you are totally good. Nothing to worry about. You're allowed to interview Alex Jones. I said, okay. Show goes up. 2 days later, they nuked the show. And I called them. I said, what did we do wrong? And they're like, we can't tell you. I was like, what do you mean you can't tell me? How am I supposed to know what we did wrong? So I called Michael Mouse and Alex Jones. I said, guys, I need to fly you back out here because they nuked the show and we're doing it again. And so Alex and Michael were like, okay. So we redid the show, brand new. And I was like, take that down. And they did not. 3 years later, they did. So I think,
no explanation again.
No explanation. They said there was some kind of misinformation or whatever. And I'm like, get out of here. That's just not true.
The way they cancel someone, yes. I didn't believe it until I saw it. When someone's targeted, I'm not deep in that conspiracy, the establishment targeting someone. Have you had RFK on your show yet?
Oh, yeah.
His story is fascinating. Like when you read the media hit pieces on him, I think he's just a crazy guy talking nonsense, obsessed with vaccines. When you start talking to the guy, he's one of the smartest politicians we have today.
Yep. And he's reasonable. And, they call him an anti-vaxxer. And then he's like, I never said don't take vaccines. I love vaccines. I'm just saying there should be better medical testing. We want to make sure we're not getting environmental toxins. What's the problem? Well, the problem is you're costing Big Pharma money.
Del Bigtree, I should have him on the show. Incredible speaker. He works with RFK, really good speaker. But then when he starts mentioning the numbers of how unhealthy the US is, I think the unhealthiest country in the top 20 economies, something along those lines.
Not surprising. I was in Thailand, and I had a buddy he's Filipino, and he lived in Thailand for several years. And I said, I want real Thai food. And he's like, oh, you want real Thai food, huh? And I was like, yeah, I want real Thai food. And he's like, okay, I'll show you what real Thai food is. And we go to this small restaurant in the corner of some block, and then he orders in Thai or whatever, I don't know, Thai is the language. And he's like, you're going to get real Thai food right now. And you know what we got? White rice with steamed chicken. That was it. And I started laughing, and I was like, he was like, is this what you expected? I'm like, I don't know, it's fine.
Sauce as well, yeah?
No sauce. No. He said, Americans have this greasy, sugary, salty garbage. You go to a restaurant, you order pad thai, it's a pound of sugar, it's big bowl of noodles with all this crazy meat and fat sauce and tamarind or whatever. He's like, yeah, they got pad thai in Thailand. Of course they do, but it's light. If you want to eat the actual food most people eat in the world, you're going to get rice and chicken. I went to Brazil. I told my buddy, I said, I want real Brazilian food. And he's like, okay, we had rice and steak. This is regular food for most people around the world, and Americans don't know this. Americans are eating deep fried, sugar-coated chicken wads with fried rice, where they take white rice, they dump oil in it and sugar and salt and garbage. And this is what Americans eat every day. And then everywhere else in the world, they're mostly eating rice and beans. We eat garbage here. It's ridiculous how much garbage we eat.
Is that, what are you blaming on? The food industrial complex or the big corporations, or is it big pharma? Is it all of them?
I mean, it's all of them, but it's an emergent phenomenon. I mean, bro, Panda Express tastes good. You ever had Panda Express? Oh, come on. Orange chicken, fried rice. It's like you're eating for your dessert for dinner. So Americans are just like, for a low cost, for a cheap meal, I can get sugar glazed deep fried chicken, and they're going to eat it. And these corporations are going to sell it to them. And I don't know what the answer is. You need a cultural change because you can't ban these things. People are allowed to eat sugary garbage. But we, as a nation, are addicted to salty, sugary, fatty foods that are just super high calorie. At the same time, as RFK Jr. points out, they're putting weird chemicals in all our food. Yeah. So I went to the grocery store. I was going to buy some cottage cheese. I want to have some cottage cheese for breakfast. Seems healthy, right? And I'm looking at the ingredients, and they put emulsifiers and guar gum and gellan gum and xanthan gum. And I'm like, I don't need gum added to my food to make it thick. Right? Even the protein shakes we have here, it's like, I don't like drinking them. We have Jocko milk, just mix it with some water or milk. You're good. I don't need to pretend like it's got some thickness to it. But, I was just reading the story. They said that colon cancer is skyrocketing among millennials, and it's largely due to the emulsifiers and high fructose corn syrup we're putting in all of our food. High fructose corn syrup is more expensive to produce than standard cane or beet sugar, but because the U.S. government subsidizes corn production, it becomes technically cheaper for manufacturers to make high fructose corn syrup, which is disgusting and it's extremely bad for you.
But if you look at an issue like this, because I know we met at Rescue the Republic, and it was like sponsored or partnered with Maha, exactly, Make America Healthy Again, which is an incredible slogan, something that doesn't get enough attention. I'm really happy that RFK is bringing attention to it. So if you look at an issue like this, why do you think there's subsidies that just don't make sense and that do more bad than good?
They made sense at a period. This is back in, I think it was the 70s with Nixon. And there was a concern, I don't know the full details, but the concern was something about an economic shortfall related to farming. And so Nixon said, we need our farming base, so we're going to subsidize corn production to make sure the farmers don't fall out. They started the subsidies at a period where it seemed to alleviate some problem. The only issue is, I'll put it this way. Here's how I describe government programs of any type, be it subsidy or, healthcare, whatever. Our society gets an injury. We get a cut on our arm. All right, what do you do when you get a cut on your arm? You got to clean it out. You got to put a bandage on it. That bandage is the corn subsidy. And it makes sense at the time. And then what happens is a month goes by and the bandage is festering and moldy. And what should we do? Rip it off, clean it out, new bandage. What do they do instead? Slap another bandage on top. Now you've got a festering wound with more bandages being slapped on top every single day. So this corn subsidy, which is meant to alleviate a problem, does. But when you plug one hole, you spring another. We can take beets, we can take cane sugar, and we can extract sucrose or the glucose structures from that. High fructose corn syrup, we get the corn syrup out of corn, and we can get, I think corn syrup is like sucrose, glucose, which your body can process with relative ease. I think, I could be wrong, glucose is instant. You eat glucose right to your cells. Sucrose requires some processing. But the problem is it's not that sweet. So they make corn cheap. They say, the government's going to pay you to make corn. So now you look at the farmer and he's like, okay, it used to cost me $100 per unit of corn or whatever that unit may be. Now it's going to cost me $50. Well, then it's going to cost me $25 to convert this corn syrup into high fructose corn syrup. They stick an enzyme in it, which converts the glucose into fructose, which is really bad for your liver. It's extremely hard on the body, but it tastes sweeter, which means they can ship less of it for a larger impact in our food products. So now, instead of spending $80 on cane and beet sugar, we're spending $75 on high fructose corn syrup. In reality, the government is filling in the gap of the extra $50.
How would you explain the reason that they're not being resolved? Is it the bureaucracy involved? Are things just way too inefficient? That's why I like...
It's an addiction. Okay. We subsidize anything, we create jobs.
All right.
Those jobs demand they not be fired. So right now we've got, with the port strike that's going on, another example of economic addiction, automation is coming. Already in China, we can see the automated shipping, the trucks come and load the shipping containers and deliver them to the proper location to get loaded on trucks with no longshoremen. They want to implement that in the US. The port workers are explicitly on strike over automation. They want contract guarantees they will not have their jobs taken from them. But this is a major change, and those jobs are going to go away no matter what we want because technology is changing.
So that's the band-aid is like delaying the inevitable.
That's right. I think we should protect the workers. It's not their fault technology advanced. We can't cast them out in the streets. But when the government creates a subsidy and they create 10,000 jobs and they brag about it, those jobs are never going to accept being fired. You end up with government workers who form a government union, and then the union makes demands and they can't be fired, and that problem never goes away.
So do you think Elon getting involved in the Trump administration and the Department of Government Efficiency?
Doge.
Yeah. If Trump is elected, do you expect Elon to do the same thing he did with Twitter, just kind of not fire, but restructure?
One of Trump's big campaign pitches was it Schedule F? We're going to open up the door to transfer out and fire bureaucrats because there's too many people in government getting paid to do nothing.
Do you think they'll be able to achieve it? Because I feel like it's become so systemic.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy is so systemic. The unelected officials just hold too much power. That's going to be not impossible, but very difficult for 3 people, 4 people to make a change.
Rome wasn't built in a day. We're not going to dismantle it in a day.
So in 4 years, is that enough? Or you need, after 4 years, you need to elect someone else that will continue it?
Yeah, J.D. Vance, he really proved himself in the debate. So now I think the enthusiasm and excitement is there for the heir apparent of MAGA. I think Trump gets a lot done in the second term. And I think he's going to be a bulldozer. But he's going to get resistance. These bureaucrats do not want to get fired. Many of them might quit, but many of them are going to file lawsuits, and they're going to say, you can't do this, I have contract protections.
Like with Twitter and Elon.
Yep, they're going to resist, and they're going to go to war over it. But if we get that 4 years of Trump, a lot can be done in 4 years. Trump's strategy with Schedule F was not to outright fire everybody, but was to open the door to make it easier to remove many of these bureaucrats.
There's a lot I want to cover from RFK's RFK, Trump, Elon, trying to restructure the FBI and the resistance they'll face. But you also mentioned the debate. I don't give it too much weight. I think it won't have any. I'd love you to disagree. I don't think it'll have much of an impact on the election. It was a lot more civil than the previous debate. It was a lot more substance. I know people said it was boring. I actually enjoyed it because they discussed the issues and they agreed on a few things as well. Like, I'd like to see that happen more often. Your general thoughts on the debate?
Well, look, how many people care enough about politics to watch a VP debate? Yeah. I mean, this is in the weeds where you got 2 guys arguing for someone else. So I think ratings were good. It's certainly not like watching Trump and Kamala go at it because that's entertainment, right? It's not going to have the impact of if Trump performed as well as J.D. Vance. But I think it really, really is going to help Donald Trump. Whether that's a whole percentage point, I'm not sure matters. We're looking at 7 battleground states. Trump needs only to get 0.1, 0.2 in some of these states, and I think J.D. Vance will really help with that.
One thing that concerns me is the lack of trust in the electoral system. I feel like if either candidate wins, I'm worried about what happens next.
No one's going to accept the results. Right now, based on polling and performance, Trump is winning the argument. If you look at polling bias over in 2016 and 2020, so in 2016, we had a 3 to 4% bias for Hillary Clinton nationally. In 2020, it was a 3 to 5% national bias. Donald Trump is now within 2 or 3 points nationally in aggregate, so they're saying it's neck and neck. But if you look at the swing state average, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden enjoyed a 4 to 7% overestimation in the polls. So Joe Biden today, as we're recording this, at this time in 2020, was up 6 to 7 points. Right now in the battleground states, Donald Trump is up 0.2. That is indicative of a Donald Trump victory, and I think Atlas Intel came out and said their projection is a Trump victory, but who knows? All signs indicate Trump-Vance should win this, but no one trusts it because what Pennsylvania says, we're not going to give you the result on election night. Now, what other countries do this?
What's their reasoning? I try to always look at
there's so many mail-in votes coming in, we just can't possibly count them, which is an absurdity.
Has that happened before?
2020 was the first time. 2020 was a really amazing election. We defied the odds. It's the first election where a sitting president received more votes than his last election, but still lost. It's in the United States, it was one of the first elections, if not the first, where we have what are called bellwether counties that always vote for the president who wins. And I think 17 of 18 went for Donald Trump. And yet Joe Biden only won 1. So a lot of people look at the anomalies relative to previous elections and they say this is indicative of something wrong. I can give you 1,000,001 reasons why things were different. COVID, There was a mass migration from state to other locations due to COVID. That changed the voting demographic in a lot of different areas. But when you have Donald Trump winning on election night, which happened in 2020, and then the next day they announced, no. He was winning. He didn't win because now we're going to count these other ballots that we have coming in. And oh, look at that. Joe Biden jumped straight up and now he won the swing states. Nobody buys that. It's not just about whether or not you think those votes are legit. It's that the Constitution prescribes a single day that we are allowed to vote in this country. And if you're going to bring in votes after the fact to make an argument you're allowed to count them, I said it's unconstitutional. Votes need to be brought. You want to do mail-in voting? Fine, I got no problem. But that means that all the mail-in votes have to be in on the morning of and counted alongside all their ballots. This idea that they're going to say, no, you can bring in your mail-in votes on the day of up until 8 p.m. and then we're going to bring them in at 4 a.m. the next day and start counting, and we won't know who won for a week, is exactly what you do to destroy confidence in the electoral system. But if everybody comes and votes on election day, and then we can see Donald Trump has 100 votes in this one county, well, then you know, hey, we've got 7 hours to find 101 votes. And they start digging. And then what happens is, we saw in 2020, signature verification was the lowest rate of rejection we had seen in any election. Normally, rejection rates for failed signatures could be anywhere from 2 to 3%. This time, they were 0.1%. What does that mean? It means when they're opening up the mail-in votes, they're going, I think it's good. Why? Well, what I think is likely is that I think the reason Trump lost is ballot harvesting. Democrat activists were going door to door saying, fill out your ballot. Everybody got a mail-in ballot, and it made it very easy to collect. And ballot harvesting is legal. It's not illegal. It's legal in most states. Some have restrictions, but it's legal in most states. Then what happens is these people don't care. They're going Joe Biden. They're signing. They're throwing their mail-in ballot in. And then when it comes time to count the mail-in votes, they know exactly how many votes Trump has and how many votes they need to clear. And if we're looking at a 2 to 3% rejection rate on mail-in votes, and they say, hey, look, Trump's got 100, we got 100. If we reject 2 to 3%, Trump wins. I think these signatures look good to me. All right, they're good. And now they win by 1 vote.
So that skepticism is what concerns me, is that if there's foul play, obviously it's going to be
always foul play. No question.
But the question is how much foul play?
Always a lot. The question is, how much are you willing to accept and file lawsuits against? And this time around, Donald Trump was willing to go head-to-head in all of these courts, and it is a lie when they say, and Democrats push this lie all the time, that the fraud allegations and the court the challenges, the election challenges, were all dismissed on the merits. Wrong. They were dismissed on standing. I covered this extensively. We had Texas v. Pennsylvania. I never said Trump won the election. I always maintained Trump lost and Biden won, but it is a fact that when Trump and Trump supporters, various PACs and legal firms, filed lawsuits, they were dismissed on standing. Standing means they don't believe you, as the person bringing the lawsuit, is party to the damage that your claim has. So, for instance, if you spill wine on my coat, and then a guy across the street sues you for the damage to my coat, they say, you have no standing, it's not your coat. So when 2 things happened. Another issue with standing was, Donald Trump's law firm will file a lawsuit and say, we believe these votes are fraudulent for this reason. The judge would then say, how many votes were there? And they'd say 1,492. The judge would then say, will 1,492 votes change the result of this election? No, dismissed. It's a waste of time.
How many of them were dismissed for standing, based on standing?
I think 80%. Trump actually won the majority that he filed. But the problem was, every time he filed the suit and said, hey, there's a discrepancy, the courts would say something like, and there's a variety of different suits for different reasons, but many of them were, the end result of this lawsuit will not change the result of the election. Now, here's the problem. If you have an election where in some states it's like 10,000 votes or less could shift the results, and you have 20 lawsuits, and each judge says 1,000 won't change the results, but you have 20 of them, and they throw them all out, well, you got a problem. Politics has been dirty. It's always been dirty. And I tell these Trump supporters, your problem is, you entered politics, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed populists, many of whom had never voted before, and they genuinely thought, I cast my vote goes in the box, they count it. And then I hear these people and I say, guys, I got news for you. I said on that day, what was it, November or 7th or whatever, next day, Joe Biden wins. And all of these Trump supporters start calling me names saying, you're wrong, they stole it. I got one thing to say. Who's in the White House? I don't care what you think it means to win. Winning is taking the seat of power. And if you think the game in this country, when political power is about convincing people you're right, you will lose every step of the way. Elections in this country have always been about procedure, policy, and getting as many pieces of paper with a name on it. Once Republicans start learning that elections are about how many pieces of paper you can count and not how many people you can convince, they might start winning these things. And I think maybe they figured it out, so we'll see.
So where do you draw the line? Like if there's valid concerns, is the legal system the only means to let's say rectify, even challenge the election results? So we still have trust in the legal system. I do, but I'd love to get your thoughts on the US legal system.
Not anymore. Oh. And every lawyer knows this.
But then how I know there's flaws within it, but when you say you don't have trust in it, that's the bedrock of a democracy.
Well, let me put it this way. I have trust in it. I have trust that it'll be corrupt. That's it. I had a lawsuit 2 years ago. It was a civil suit for copyright infringement. And I called my lawyer and I said, take a look at what this third party did, and it's copyright infringement. They said, you are right, that absolutely is. And I said, I'd like to sue. And they said, okay, well, there's consideration. This is a company that is national, so they're operating in multiple jurisdictions. It could be Atlanta, it could be Los Angeles. You live in West Virginia. Where do you want to file your lawsuit? And I said, wherever we win. They said, great. Well, if you file it in West Virginia, your federal judge is going to be an Obama appointee. He's probably going to side with them because they don't like you because of your politics. The other problem is Atlanta and LA are probably going to be similar. So I got news for you, buddy. The jurisdictions where we can probably file, those are all Democrat appointees. They're going to take one look at you and say, F you, Tim Pool, out of my court, you lose. Fact. That's how lawsuits, so we didn't file. That's how lawsuits work in this country. Venue and jurisdiction are everything. And this is any good lawyer, and every lawyer today will tell you this. So this is why there's a big issue with going after big tech companies. You want to file a lawsuit against one of these big tech companies in California? Good luck. These judges are going to have stock in the companies. They're going to have kickbacks, or they're going to have friends and family. You're going to go to California. You're going to file a suit in your home state. You're going to be in Oklahoma, and you're going to say, Facebook broke the rules. I file a lawsuit. However, it's a California company, so you're filing a federal suit. Facebook will then file to move venue to California, where they're headquartered. And then they're going to pull a whole bunch of games where, like, you agreed to arbitration, etc. And the judge is going to be an urban Democrat. And your argument's going to be something like, I was trying to run an advertisement on Facebook that was pro-life and asking people to support pro-life policy. They banned me for it. The judge is going to go, well, but pro-life policy is Nazism and you're a fascist, so get out of my courtroom. Bye. So you can't beat them. The hyperpolarization extends all the way to who our judges are. And this is a big issue too with Donald Trump and now with the second assassination case, as well as the documents case. It was Judge Eileen Cannon. She's a Trump appointee. So the Democrats are screaming, unfair. She's defending Trump who gave her the job. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. This is the nature of our judicial system, and it always has been. Take a look at New York. Donald Trump, they changed the law so that E. Jean Carroll can file a civil suit against him for sexual assault. 30-year-old story. Even several magazines say this doesn't seem to make sense. The story doesn't add up. None of it makes sense. But the court in New York just says, yeah, Trump's guilty. Well, New York is 90 plus, what is it, D plus 25? Good luck getting a fair trial being Donald Trump in New York City.
It's not fear-mongering to say, hey, this is a concern that needs to be discussed if we continue down this path. What is a more optimistic take on this? Like, what should policymakers do? What should the American public do for us to change path?
Well, the Make America Healthy Again movement, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard joining Donald Trump, and Elon. Elon was a liberal guy too.
All three of them, I know.
I know. They join with Donald Trump. And what we're seeing is, Elon posts that meme where he used to be a liberal, but then the left goes super far left, and now he's considered right-wing. This is the Unity Party. Now, there are elements of the left that do not care about what's true or if there's corruption. And certainly there are elements of the right that are similar in that. But reality has a right-wing bias right now. And it's clear as day when you see Kennedy joining with Trump. When you see Elon joining with Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, she was going to be the star of the Democratic Party, and she backed Bernie Sanders in 2016. They kicked her out as fast as they could. Now she's here with Trump. I think this Unity Party is going to bring in the bulk of the American population, and it's going to marginalize the more extreme element of the left and push them out. When that happens, we may pull out of this tailspin and start to correct without any kind of civil conflict or disruption.
But then how is still at, if you look at Polymarket is people putting their money, what they believe will happen. And it's sitting at 50-50, 49-50 for, it's the same thing as for Kamala. Kamala's at 50, Trump at 49, but they were going above each other. So despite Elon, Tulsi and RFK backing Trump or endorsing Trump, and it's still 50-50 chance for each candidate, what's working against Trump? Why is Trump still only at 50%?
Entrenched bureaucracy and intelligence agencies. I mean, look, it's wild. Donald Trump gets elected. They accuse him of being a Russian spy. Not even an exaggeration. They literally called him a traitor to this country. Jonathan Chait went on MSNBC and said Trump may have been an asset of the KGB going back to the 80s. The Soviet Union? Come on, they broke up. It's insane. You take a look at the first impeachment of Donald Trump over the Ukraine scandal. What happened? Joe Biden engaged in a quid pro quo when he went to the president of Ukraine and said, I am going to block congressionally approved loan guarantees with no legal authority unless you fire Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor. And they said, you can't do that. You don't have the authority. He says, call the president, see what he says. I mean, that is illegal by every standard. It is a crime. And he laughed about it. He went to a Council on Foreign Relations meeting, sitting on the stage. Please Google the video and watch him say this. When Donald Trump found out, because the video went viral, he asked the then Ukrainian president, I believe it might have, I'm not sure if it was Poroshenko or Zelensky. He said, what was this all about? Joe Biden saying you got to fire a prosecutor or you're not going to get the money. I want you to look into that. Tell me what was going on. They impeached Trump for it. Viktor Shokin signed a sworn affidavit that he was fired under pressure for the government because he had launched investigations into Burisma, where Joe Biden's son was on the board. Now, I'm not accusing Joe Biden of having fired him for that reason, but Viktor Shokin sure did. Now, that warrants an investigation. Donald Trump asked for one. They impeached Trump for asking for an investigation into whether or not Joe Biden broke the law. But hey, guess what? They called what Trump did a quid pro quo. Fine, I accept that. Joe Biden did the same thing. Lock them both up for all I care, but they don't. They go after Trump, impeach him. They fail. He doesn't get convicted. But nothing for Joe Biden. The problem we have right now with the election, the reason why it's 50-50, is that everyone in this country can see Joe Biden's got classified documents in his garage, at his old university, in his office, explicitly stating, I kept them, I wanted to write a book and make money. Illegal. A crime. And what does the special counsel say? He says, yeah, but, he's a forgetful old man. Nobody will convict him. That would happen to Donald Trump. They go into his house and they find old boxes of random knickknacks and garbage from when he was the president. They pull select documents out and they say, these are actually classified. They lay them on the floor. And this is true. The FBI then they bring classified cover sheets and put them on top and stage a photograph of all of these classified documents that they staged. And they try to lock Trump up for having classified documents. Now, by all means, tell me Trump's guilty. Fine. You can have that one. Joe Biden's got classified documents. Donald Trump's got classified documents, and only one man got charged. When the American people see that, they say our system is broken, it is corrupt, Democrats are just abject violation of the law, and we have no reason to believe that they will give us a fair election.
But they don't seem to be seeing that enough, because you've got Trump with the backing of Tulsi, Elon, RFK, and many others, still at a razor-thin margin. I know he's more likely to win based on the polling comparisons 2016 and 2020. But if you look at, again, just using Polymarket, it is at 50-50. When RFK came in and endorsed Trump, I thought that would make a massive difference. Like, is it mainstream media's perception of Trump having an effect? Is it a certain image?
So first of all, people hate Trump. There are a lot of people in this country who just hate the man. Certainly that is the mainstream media lying about him every single day. The Very Fine People hoax, the injecting bleach hoax. I mean, hoaxes for days. The hoax about J.D. Vance. I mean, they just don't stop. But the problem is, when it comes to the betting markets, I might consider betting against Trump. Are we supposed to believe that the machine is going to allow Donald Trump to be president?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are sitting here saying, I don't think Trump's going to win. They will not let him be president. He was nearly assassinated twice. He took a bullet to the side of the head. He was millimeters away from dying. Second time, a guy's lying in wait. Secret Service catches him. Many people, so far there's at least two, have tried to kill Donald Trump, plus a third Pakistani national who was caught plotting and trying to hire an assassin to kill Trump. It's not even about whether or not Trump wins the election. It's about whether he survives to the election. And that's terrifying. When, I jokingly say civil war, and people like to put that on me because I reference it quite a bit, but I didn't make it up. The statement about whether or not there's going to be a civil war came from the New York Times. Keir Starmer, PM in the UK, as well as other world leaders, have expressed publicly their concern the United States is on the brink of a civil war. When a bullet grazes the side of our front runner's face, well, these are the battleground states, one of our top contenders, the New York Times, as well as many other publications, said we were millimeters away from civil war in this country. That's a harsh reality. I'm glad to hear that they're giving Trump all the security he needs, but even Trump is posting now that he's surrounded by more police he's ever seen, because Iran is trying to kill him. If something happens to this guy, I fear what will happen. One of my fears is that Donald Trump gets assassinated by Iran, and then you're going to get the war drums banging by every single person in this country for a full-scale mobilization against Iran.
I can't even imagine the outcome of that.
I mean, look, Iran's firing missiles at Israel. Israel's invading Lebanon. The Middle East is a powder keg, and it's been a powder keg, but now it's lighting up. If an Iranian assassination team killed Trump, every single Trump supporter would stand up and say, I don't care who's president, we invade Iran. I have asked people on my show, and even I hold this opinion, if Iran assassinates Trump, should we declare war on Iran? Unequivocally, libertarians, liberals, conservatives, yes. You cannot be a nation if you allow a foreign adversary to kill one of your political leaders, if not your principal political leader and potential commander-in-chief. Your treaties would be worthless. So we have no choice but to say you have committed an utmost egregious act of war against us and we must retaliate.
Would you believe, I haven't looked into it enough, but if someone makes that claim, would you question the claim first? Like, is Iran really behind it? Would they make
Absolutely.
it? Because it sounds like a very foolish decision. It's like the end of their country. It just fucking with the president of the United States doesn't make sense for almost any country out there.
Donald Trump ordered the assassination of Soleimani. They want revenge. They have publicly stated they will get revenge. I think it's reasonable to believe they want to kill Trump. Now, that also could be an opportunity for a deep state false flag to rally public sentiment against Iran and remove Trump from the equation. But that gets a little bit too conspiratorial and circuitous.
Nothing's conspiratorial anymore with everything I've seen.
It's true. But I just mean, in the absence of evidence, the solution that makes the least amount of assumptions tends to be correct. Occam's razor. So if someone came to me and said, elements of the intelligence agencies were trying to plot a war with Iran and concerned that Donald Trump may win the presidency, so two birds with one stone, they staged it. I'm like, whoa, slow down. Trump killed Soleimani and they vowed retaliation. Much simpler solution. It's more believable. They've publicly stated they want to do it. Before we start entertaining whether or not there's conspiracies to take out Donald Trump, they could be true, or the deep state or intelligence agencies want to remove Trump, we got to start with the path of least resistance. Iran said they want to do it. So protect Trump, make sure it doesn't happen, but I genuinely believe Iran is trying to kill Trump.
How deep have you gone into the first assassination attempt? No one's talking about the leading candidate at the time almost getting killed, and as New York Times said, the US getting into a civil war. And suddenly it's no longer a topic of discussion. Was it even mentioned in the debate yesterday? No.
Nope.
Was it mentioned in the debate between Kamala and Trump?
Well, Trump did say.
He brought it up, but the commentators did not.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's just, it was gone. Within a couple of weeks, they were just like, yeah, that never happened. I was at a casino, so we were at the RNC. It was 2 days before the start. Our studio's not arrived yet. It's the weekend, so I go to play some poker, having a good time. I check my phone right when it happens. I get a notification right when it goes down. I watch the video. Trump goes down, and I'm thinking to myself, we don't know what happened. At this point, no one has posted that Trump's okay. And then the video shows him stand up and fight. And now all of a sudden the waves of tweets go out. Trump is okay. One of the guys I was playing with was a state rep from, I think, Missouri. And I look at him like, did you see this? And he's like, yeah. Every TV in the casino, sports, nonsense.
That's crazy.
No one cared. At my poker table, there's 6, 7 other guys. And I'm like, you guys seen this? Trump just got shot. And they're like, huh. Nobody betted an eye. I kind of thought the casino would get on the intercom and say, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump was just shot in the side of the head. He survived with minor injuries. He is okay. We are changing the TVs to news programming so we can see what is happening. They didn't care.
When did they put the news? Did they put the news?
They never did. Of course they didn't. An hour later, I go to the restaurant at the casino, and we're getting a table. And I said, just real quick, a quick question to the hostess. Did you know that Donald Trump was just shot in the side of the head? And she goes, oh, wow, I didn't know. Anyway,
Are you serious?
And she's like, right this way. And I'm like, I didn't care. Nobody cared. The JFK assassination was on TV everywhere. Granted, he did lose his life, but you'd think Trump getting shot in the side of the head would be like, ladies and gentlemen, it is with a heavy heart we tell you Donald Trump was just shot. And like, Every special report comes on every TV. No, I remember special reports used to come on for an LA car chase. I'm watching Fox News and they're like, we're going to a special breaking report. There's a car chase happening in LA. Now the president can take a bullet inside his head and nobody bats an eye. And then the conversation is gone. I think there is a political exhaustion. People are fried and they're just saying, leave me out of it.
That's fucking insane. Like, I remember when I was going to bed, my team was covering the rally, and they wake me up saying, Mario, there's been shooting. They didn't tell me Trump was shot. There was shooting at the rally. No one wants to jump to a conclusion, especially a conclusion that's scary.
Yep.
So I jump on, my girlfriend's next to me, and she's like, what happened? Like, how bad is it? Because I'm doing spaces all the time. There's always something breaking. I'm like, no. If this is true, I'm not kidding. I'm not a fearmonger at all. I'm the opposite. But the discussion of a civil war is on the table.
Yep.
To know that American citizens didn't even know about it is fucking scary. But have you, I know there's a lot of unanswered questions on this. What camp are you in? Is it just a lone wolf actor?
Impossible.
Okay.
It's impossible. New York Times and Time Magazine. FBI informed Secret Service there's an assassination plot on Donald Trump. This man offered $1 million to kill Trump. Secret Service claimed they would be increasing security. 4 days prior, local law enforcement, this is according to the body cam footage, said, we told Secret Service 4 days ago to put guys on that roof. They did not. So how are you going to explain to me several factors? The day before the rally, Secret Service was informed someone's trying to kill Trump. They have something called a holding zone. Trump comes out, they put him in a holding zone where he's safe, and they say, we're going to wait to clear any threats. They let him out. They had a threat identified. 27 minutes before the shots were fired, they identified crooks walking around with a rangefinder. I think an hour before that, they said, local law enforcement text messages, he snuck in with us. No one did anything. They didn't put any guards on the roof. 2 minutes before the shots were fired, I think it might have been a minute, police saw crooks on the roof and crooks pointed a gun at one of the cops. The counter snipers watched law enforcement draw their guns and run full speed towards the roof, and not once did they say, get Trump off the stage, violating protocol. So you're never gonna convince me that FBI goes Secret Service says, hey guys, there's a plot to kill Trump. They put up $1 million for it. And then they went, okay, whoops, we slipped on every single banana peel possible, allowing this guy to take a shot at Donald Trump. And the only reason Trump survived is because he tilted his head slightly in this direction as he was looking at a sign, and the bullet went past his ear. Because if he didn't, it goes in the side of his head or into his eye. And he lived. But by happenstance, it's wild to watch that video where Trump just turns his head a little bit and the bullet goes boom, and then he grabs his ear and then he falls to the ground. They knew that location needed to be covered. They didn't cover it. They knew Crooks was there 3 hours in advance, 1 hour, 27 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds. Those were all the periods where it's been reported in all of either news or congressional report that the Secret Service was aware of a threat. A guy with a rangefinder snuck in, and he was carrying around a weapon. They don't know how or the bag came from, but this is a guy who somehow brought a weapon into this, climbed in the building, and they knew he was there. All it takes is this. When the cop climbed up the roof, and you can watch the body camera footage, and sees Crooks with a gun, and Crooks points the gun, and he falls down, he goes, get Trump off the stage now. Didn't happen. No one did anything. He runs away, and he goes, oh my God. Nothing happens. The counter snipers, seeing all this going down, not once just said, get Trump off the stage now. How is that possible? It's not possible. Viva Frei called it fractal wrongness. The exponential failures have to pile up. It's crazier than winning the lottery 3 times in a row. Especially when you consider the Secret Service told them the day before the rally, someone's going to try and kill Trump. You got it. And then they say, pull our guards off, our counter snipers off the roof. Why did they take why did they not have guards on the roof if the day before the FBI said there's going to be a plot to kill him? They couldn't be like, okay, guys, we got to double our security. Make sure we get 4 guys on the roof. They left an open, direct line of sight to the president. None of it makes sense. Police knew Crooks snuck in. Nobody does anything. Crooks was flying a drone above the rally 3 hours in advance. I suppose, just by pure miracle, every local law enforcement and Secret Service agent was stricken blind, deaf, and dumb for a brief second as the drone was flying over a presidential rally. How could that be possible unless they let it happen? So I say Occam's razor. In the absence of evidence, the solution that makes the least amount of assumptions tends to be correct. If you believe that it was a series of accidents that led to Crooks, the lone wolf, getting a shot off on Trump, you're a conspiracy theorist. You are jumping through hoops, backflipping, so that you can try and justify how this makes sense. But there is actually one really simple solution. A single logistical officer for the Secret Service says stand down. And not literally stand down, but it actually is much easier than this. The counter snipers on the roof don't know who's supposed to be on the other roof. So whoever's doing logistics, or who is the authority for the Secret Service, says to the team, okay, I want you guys up there, I want you guys over there, don't worry, we'll take care of the rest, go. These guys say, you got it, I'll be up here. They have no idea what's going on, it's been compartmentalized. I've long maintained, I believe that the likely scenario is that a single Secret Service agent with some position of authority was intentionally keeping other agents in the dark, creating holes that crooks could exploit, knowing the FBI told them someone's going to try and kill Trump. The reason why I believe this, least amount of assumptions. It's not a conspiracy. Nobody else is involved. It's just one person with coordinating capabilities to be like, hey, you guys over there, and then they don't put anybody on the roof. As it turns out, in congressional testimony, Secret Service, and again, New York Times, refused to say who was in charge of the operation. I wonder why.
Is that protocol?
I don't know. Dan Bongino would know better than me. But I'm pretty sure it's easy if you're under oath testifying before Congress and they say, who is your commanding officer? You say, John Smith. So when they say, who is the commander of this operation at this rally? And they all went, no idea. So who are you taking orders from? Well, they know, but they're not saying. Why? Because that person, I believe, is likely to have intentionally allowed these holes, guiding this psychopath, knowing the FBI warned him it could happen. Now, again, all this is speculative, and I really don't know anything about whatever happened. But I can tell you, if you believe that Crooks showed up 3 hours early with a drone and not a single Secret Service agent noticed, you're a liar. You can't fly drones over presidential rallies. I don't think I need to say that. An hour after that, he sneaks into the Secret Service area. There are text messages from law enforcement being like, hey, he just snuck in. What do we do? They ignored him. You expect me to believe that law enforcement ignored a guy with a rangefinder sneaking in? They did, so they claim. But what if there's a single logistics guy and the person in charge of everything? It explains everything. A drone's flying overhead. Cop goes, hey, we got a drone flying over the rally. Well, what should we do? Logistics officer for the Secret Service goes, yeah, we're on it, disregard. And then everyone goes, it's taken care of. And then what does that Secret Service agent do? Nothing. Then they say, hey, we got a guy who just snuck in. What do we do? This one logistics guy goes, I see, we're on it, disregard. And every step of the way just keeps saying, yeah, don't worry about it, we got it, and then doing nothing. It takes only one person to do that. Someone with authority, and I wonder if that's why Secret Service would not identify who was in command that day. But who knows? All I can do is speculate.
Why isn't that being brought up? Why isn't J.D. Vance, why isn't Trump constantly bringing this up at
It's not going to win an election. If J.D. Vance went on the debate stage and started ranting about this, they'd say the American people want to know how they're going to afford groceries. You're wasting their time. Maybe once Trump is elected, he can make a big deal about it.
Well, the last topic I want to cover, and linking to this, is you talked about how mainstream media covered the topic and how not only no one cared about it in the casino, but the casino itself didn't put it on TV. I would have had a moment of an hour of silence to try to understand what the hell's going on.
I'd suspend operations. I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be putting a pause on gaming as we try to assess what just happened at a rally where Donald Trump was shot. And then I don't care if people leave. This is important for this country.
So how do you think the media landscape, and I'm asking this as someone, you're very active on YouTube. I watch you on YouTube, but I'm guessing you're on Rumble as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, YouTube, Rumble. You're also on X, but I don't think you stream on X, do you?
No, we've tried. It's just hard to do.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, multi-streaming.
But how do you think the media landscape is going to look like over the next few years? And more importantly, there's not many people fighting for free speech. Everyone keeps going, Elon. Obviously, it's Rumble as well. But that's 2 people. And Rumble's still relatively small. So X and Elon's probably the only platform that's fighting for this right now in the US and around the world. This is not an American problem. This is a Brazilian problem. This is a British and Australian problem. How do you think the media landscape will shift over the next few years? Is it heading in the right direction as people wake up to the flaws with the mainstream media? And are social media platforms, or at least X, doing enough? Is it enough for that to shift. Because I think as long as the narrative is controlled, as long as, you know, what you saw John Kerry's comments on the First Amendment a couple of days ago, as long as speech is controlled, I don't think, that's why no one cared about the assassination attempt. That's why mainstream media didn't talk about it. They're able to choose what you care about, what you don't care about. So if that problem is not solved, first, do you think that problem could be solved under Trump or how?
So it's a cultural push first. And a good example is Mark Zuckerberg. Have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
He got a tan. He's grown a little beard. He's working out. I think he was embarrassed as to what he was when he saw this congressional testimony and he's this pale, gaunt, android-looking guy. He did not like how that felt when people were making fun of him. So what happens? He starts changing. He wants to fit in. He wants people to like him. Now he's saying he's a libertarian. Now he's talking about how actually he's for free speech. Sure, let's see the proof. Facebook, start fixing your platform. But those cultural pressures show that we are winning. We may be in a dark spot right now, but it is turning around with apps like Public Square, with Elon's purchase of X, with Rumble, with Dan Bongino and Rumble working on, there's a service called Parallel Economy. So now you can have your own financial transactions for your business. It's being built, and that competition is hurting the establishment. I think we keep this pressure on. Facebook might actually say, okay, look, Facebook is dying. It's been for a long time. They call it the boomer platform. The kids are on TikTok and Instagram. So Facebook, Meta, they got Instagram too, they know. But if they want Facebook to survive, they're going to have to create a place that is fun to get information and get memes or whatever it may be. But so long as they turn it into an echo chamber, they're cutting off half the market. I think the change is starting now. We'll see what happens. I think with the debate we saw last night, the moderators were very careful not to pull what the ABC moderators did because they got lambasted. Though they were not perfect, they did do pretty well, and I respect them for it. So I think there is a deep concern that as podcasting and the internet is taking over the public space, if you're one of these old guard people and you want to stay in that lane, you'll just disappear. You have to adapt, and what society wants now is real conversations.
Tim, I think that's it for today, man. You scared me enough. Appreciate it. And I'll be on your show shortly. And
Sounds good.
by the way, just for anyone that doesn't know, Tim's got a fucking skate park just outside. And I'm not kidding. The rumors are true. It's just out there. Pleasure to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.